Queen Elizabeth says she wants Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, to be known as Queen Consort when Prince Charles becomes king.
From scandal to throne, Camilla Parker Bowles' transformation from Prince Charles's controversial lover to Queen Consort was nothing short of extraordinary. Once vilified as a marriage wrecker, Camilla faced decades of harsh judgment and relentless media scrutiny. Yet with resilience and determination, she rose above it all, becoming a vital part of the royal family and a steadfast partner to King Charles. Her love story defied tradition and silenced critics, marking a remarkable royal redemption. But just as her reign as Queen Consort seemed secure, whispers of a shocking royal twist have surfaced. Rumors are swirling that her title of Queen Consort has been quietly revoked. Could this be the result of a brewing family feud, a political maneuver, or perhaps shifting public sentiment? The palace remains tight-lipped, fueling speculation about what could be one of the biggest royal shakeups in recent history. Is Camilla's royal chapter nearing its end? Camilla and Charles's royal saga. Camilla and Charles's relationship is one of the most talked about and controversial narratives in modern royal history. Their relationship spanned decades, marked by royal expectations, personal struggles, and the intense spotlight of the media. At the center of this complex dynamic was the public perception of their affair, especially amid the tumultuous marriage between Charles and Princess Diana. The media played a significant role in shaping the story of their romance, influencing public opinion and fueling the collapse of Diana and Charles's marriage. Their story begins in 1970 when Camilla Shand, a young woman from a noble family, and Prince Charles first crossed paths at a polo match. The two quickly developed a strong bond, with Charles captivated by Camilla's wit, beauty, and charm. However, their romance was not to be. At the time, Camilla was not deemed a suitable match for the prince due to her lack of virginity and her social standing, which did not meet the standards expected of a future queen. The couple eventually parted ways when Charles went off to join the Royal Navy, and Camilla went on to marry Andrew Parker Bowles in 1973, despite her continuing feelings for Charles. Charles, too, moved on and married Lady Diana Spencer in a grand ceremony in 1981. The world watched eagerly as the young couple seemed to embody the fairy tale romance that everyone had longed for. However, underneath the facade, their marriage was troubled from the very beginning. Charles and Diana's relationship was strained, in part due to Charles's lingering attachment to Camilla. The tension between Diana and Camilla became apparent in the 1980s as Charles and Camilla rekindled their affair, despite the royal couple's marriage. Diana was reportedly aware of the affair, and the breakdown of their marriage became increasingly public. The media began to play a pivotal role in shaping the narrative of the royal family. In the 1980s, as their affair continued, tabloids were quick to cover every aspect of the love triangle between Charles, Diana, and Camilla. This fueled public fascination with the scandal, with paparazzi following Diana and Charles at every turn, and the press sensationalizing every moment. Public sympathy, especially in the UK, leaned heavily towards Diana, whose young and innocent image was at odds with the more mature and reserved Camilla. Diana's popularity only grew, and she became known as the People's Princess, while Camilla was vilified in the media as the other woman. In 1992, the affair between Charles and Camilla was exposed in even greater detail when an intimate phone conversation between the two was leaked to the press. The phone call, which was recorded in the early 1990s, was highly embarrassing for the royal family and fueled widespread criticism. The media scandal reached a fever pitch, further damaging Charles and Diana's already strained marriage. Diana, in a now-famous interview with the BBC in 1995, opened up about the affair, declaring, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." This interview marked a turning point in public opinion, with many viewing Diana as a victim of Charles and Camilla's infidelity. The media's role in amplifying the scandal surrounding the affair cannot be overstated. The constant media presence, paparazzi intrusion, and sensationalist headlines turned what could have been a personal issue into a global spectacle. As the public became more engrossed in the saga of the royal family, the pressure on Charles and Diana's marriage intensified. By 1996, Charles and Diana had separated and their divorce was finalized. This marked a dramatic turning point for both individuals, with Diana continuing her humanitarian work and Charles turning to Camilla. In the years that followed, Camilla and Charles worked to rebuild their relationship in the public eye. Their relationship, once considered a scandal, was slowly accepted by the media and the public. Camilla divorced Andrew Parker Bowles in 1995, and as she and Charles grew closer, the public perception of their affair began to shift. Queen Elizabeth II, who had previously been opposed to Camilla becoming part of the royal family, eventually reconciled with the relationship. In 2005, Charles and Camilla's relationship culminated in a civil ceremony, marking their official engagement and subsequent marriage. The wedding, though understated compared to other royal marriages, signified a shift in public opinion. Though not universally accepted, many began to view Camilla more favorably. However, Camilla's full acceptance into the royal fold took longer. For many, the shadow of Diana's legacy remained. Diana, who tragically passed away in 1997, left a lasting impact on the royal family and the public, especially on Charles. The media continued to contrast Camilla with Diana, often drawing comparisons between the two women. Camilla's position as the other woman in the royal drama, as well as her role in the collapse of Diana's marriage, made it difficult for her to be fully embraced by the public. Even as Charles and Camilla grew closer, the press continued to scrutinize their relationship. In 2022, the death of Queen Elizabeth II brought about another significant change in the royal family. Charles ascended to the throne, and Camilla was officially named Queen Consort, a role she had long been expected to assume. This marked the end of a decades-long journey for Camilla, who had faced intense public scrutiny and media vilification for much of her life. The media, which had once relentlessly pursued every detail of her affair with Charles, now had to reckon with her new position as the Queen Consort. Public opinion about her, though not universally positive, had evolved over the years, and she became an integral part of the royal family. The coronation of Charles and Camilla in 2023 solidified Camilla's role within the monarchy. The event, though smaller and more understated than the coronations of previous monarchs, was still a historic moment for the royal family. The press, while acknowledging the complexities of Charles and Camilla's relationship, largely accepted her as Queen Consort. Still, the media's role in shaping the narrative of their relationship remained a key factor in the ongoing public discourse about the royal family. Charles and Camilla's relationship, once marred by scandal and public backlash, ultimately overcame the challenges posed by both the media and public opinion. Their journey from secret lovers to a married couple and finally the king and queen consort is a testament to their enduring bond. However, the role of the media in framing their story cannot be ignored, as it was instrumental in shaping the public's understanding of their affair, the collapse of Charles and Diana's marriage, and the eventual acceptance of Camilla within the royal family. From mistress to queen consort. From the very beginning, Camilla's relationship with Charles was always going to be controversial. As Prince of Wales, Charles was known for adopting difficult and unpopular causes. And then there was Camilla, the biggest challenge of them all. Her transformation from the vilified royal mistress to queen consort has been nothing short of dramatic. Camilla's bond with Charles was so strong that it led to the collapse of both their marriages. Their relationship outraged the establishment and branded her as a marriage wrecker. There were times when Camilla must have wondered if it was all worth it. In a rare interview, she admitted the media's intense scrutiny was horrid and something she wouldn't wish on her worst enemy. Yet, despite the whirlwind of negative press, the couple's journey eventually took them from scandal to acceptance. Had Diana not tragically died in 1997, Camilla's path to the throne might have been far more difficult. Before Diana's death, tensions surrounding the royal marriages had started to cool. Diana had cooperated with a book by Andrew Morton in 1992, which led to Charles retaliating with a 1994 book and documentary where he admitted to his affair with Camilla. By 1995, Diana's famous interview with Martin Bashir revealed her frustration. "There were 3 of us in this marriage." Yet, despite the public chaos, Diana was slowly moving on with her life, and Camilla's presence was becoming harder to ignore. After Diana's death, Charles began taking steps to make his relationship with Camilla more public. Operation PB, as it was called, was set in motion. Mark Bolland, Charles's deputy private secretary, was key in orchestrating a series of carefully staged public appearances. In 1999, Charles and Camilla were photographed leaving a party at the Ritz in London, a crucial moment in their relationship as it helped shift public opinion. Camilla, though wary of the media's attention, started attending more public events. She became a calming presence in Charles's life, influencing his behavior and, at times, even making him act more composed. One of the most pivotal moments came when Camilla met William for the first time. A leak to the press about this meeting caused a stir, but those close to Camilla have denied responsibility for it. It was a delicate moment because, as royal historian Robert Lacey points out, royal acceptance by the family, especially the Queen, would have been as significant as the public's acceptance. By 2000, after years of public backlash, Camilla's relationship with the royal family began to shift. The Queen, once critical of Camilla, had a private lunch with her. It was a quiet yet powerful sign that the monarch was accepting the reality of the situation. And when Charles and Camilla finally married in 2005, the Queen's support was undeniable. At their wedding, she spoke with warmth, saying she was delighted to welcome Camilla into the family. For Camilla, though, the journey from the other woman to Queen Consort had never been something she had planned. Her friends, including the Marchioness of Lansdowne, say that Camilla never thought she'd end up as queen. Never in a million years, they said. Yet Charles had been quietly working behind the scenes for years to make this reality happen. Harry, in his memoir Spare, didn't hold back his feelings about Camilla. He described her as dangerous and a villain, claiming she'd sacrificed him and William to boost her own PR. Camilla, however, reacted with little more than an eye roll. She was used to the media's harsh judgment and carried on, determined to support Charles in any way she could. But there was one moment that solidified her acceptance: Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee speech in 2022. The Queen made it clear that it was her sincere wish for Camilla to be known as Queen Consort. It was a powerful endorsement from the monarch and a public stamp of approval for Camilla's role in the royal family. The Queen had grown fond of her daughter-in-law, admiring her commitment to important causes and her quiet work behind the scenes. It was a relationship based on mutual respect and understanding. After years of public scorn, Camilla had finally earned her place. She wasn't just Charles's wife, she had become a true partner, offering him the peace and support he'd long needed. As Lacey points out, it was Camilla who seemed to be the one who could calm Charles during moments of stress, like the infamous pen incident when Charles's fountain pen exploded at a signing ceremony. It was a small but telling moment. Charles had found the one person who could soothe him when everything else felt out of control. Today, Camilla stands as Queen Consort, a position few would have predicted for her decades ago. Her transformation is a testament to resilience, patience, and a long journey of public and private challenges. She has weathered the storm of being the other woman and now stands proudly beside her husband, the King, having truly earned her place in the royal family. King Charles, balancing tradition and modernity. A year after Queen Elizabeth II's death, questions about the future of the British monarchy still remain, but King Charles III's reign has been more about continuity than change. His leadership so far has been defined by a shift in style rather than substance, with subtle evolution taking center stage. After waiting over 70 years to become king, Charles has stepped into his new role with surprising ease. He's avoided controversy and sidestepped major reforms, despite doubts about whether an unelected king can still represent modern Britain. Even when he had a very public moment of frustration over an aide's mistake with a pen case, people seemed to forgive him, instead focusing on the positives, like his smooth state visit to Germany, where he wowed lawmakers by switching effortlessly between English and German. Charles has made it clear that his reign will focus on subtle changes rather than sweeping reforms. The Queen was known for incremental change, and his incremental change may be a little more obvious in various moments, says Sally Bedell-Smith, author of Charles, The Passions and Paradoxes of an Improbable Life. But don't expect radical shifts like those Charles once hinted at in the 1990s. Over time, he seems to have accepted that his role is more about continuity than shaking things up. While Charles has spoken of reforming the monarchy, cutting costs, and streamlining its operations, he's taken a more diplomatic approach. Instead of reconstructing Buckingham Palace, Charles is focused on building bridges both at home and abroad. He's traveled to each of the 4 nations that make up the United Kingdom, meeting with faith communities, hosting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in London, and even making a successful state visit to Germany. Charles became king on the 8th of September 2022, following his mother's passing. His first speech set the tone for his reign, where he honored Queen Elizabeth's legacy while acknowledging that the world has changed. In her life of service, we saw that abiding love of tradition, together with that fearless embrace of progress, he said, emphasizing his commitment to serving all his people. While known for his outspoken views on causes like conservation and environmental protection, Charles has already made one significant shift. He handed the baton to Prince William, encouraging him to take the lead on these issues. William has continued his climate change advocacy and even launched a campaign to end homelessness in the UK. Following Queen Elizabeth's state funeral, the world witnessed a major shift in the monarchy. The national anthem's first line now began with "God Save Our Gracious King," a subtle yet significant reminder that Charles is now the face of the monarchy in a more diverse, multicultural Britain. In his first Christmas broadcast, Charles embraced this change, featuring footage of his visits to diverse communities, including volunteers at a Sikh house of worship in Luton. It was a clear message that he recognized the changing face of Britain and his responsibility as a monarch in a multicultural nation. Charles's coronation in May was a perfect example of balancing tradition with the push for change. As he sat in the ancient coronation chair and had the crown placed upon his head, the ceremony maintained the centuries-old traditions. However, this time, faith leaders from various religions participated in the ceremony, marking a shift toward inclusivity. The guests, too, reflected a broader view of modern Britain. In addition to world leaders and royals, the audience also included everyday people invited for their charity work, school contributions, and community service. It was a move that emphasized the value of service and inclusivity, a cornerstone of Charles's reign. While King Charles's reign has started with careful diplomacy, there are still challenges ahead. The monarchy's place in modern Britain has shifted, and it's no longer enough to rely on the mantra of never explain, never complain. The public wants more transparency, especially regarding royal spending and accountability. Charles faces growing pressure to make the royal family more reflective of modern Britain. In addition to these demands, there's also the ongoing debate about the monarchy's history, particularly its ties to slavery and colonialism. Some voices, like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, have criticized the palace for its handling of certain issues, adding to the pressure. Charles also faces calls from Republican groups seeking to abolish the monarchy in the Commonwealth realms. "It seems likely that his reign will end with fewer realms than it started," said Joe Little, managing editor of Majesty magazine. "While this may be inevitable, it's a sign of changing attitudes, and ultimately, it's up to the people of these countries to decide." As Queen Consort, Camilla has also played an important part in this balance between tradition and modernization. The way Charles leads has undoubtedly influenced her own decisions, and she has stepped into her role with a sense of duty that mirrors her husband's more restrained leadership style. Her quiet but powerful influence behind the scenes has become an integral part of the monarchy's evolution. King Charles's reign is a delicate balancing act. So far, Charles's leadership has shown that he's committed to both honoring the past and embracing change. As Charles continues to build his legacy, one thing is clear: he's in no rush to make drastic changes. His reign is about evolution, not revolution, and the future of the British monarchy may look very different as he slowly shifts its focus in the years ahead. As King Charles steps into his role, balancing tradition with modernity, how will his leadership continue to reshape the monarchy's image? With public support rising, can the royal family maintain its relevance in today's world? Will they successfully balance tradition while adapting to change? The future of the monarchy is uncertain, but Charles is leading this delicate evolution, the evolving image of the royal family. The royal family's image has held strong, even improving. King Charles is gaining ground, with more than half of Britons now believing he's doing a good job as monarch. In fact, public opinion shows that the royal family's transparency around King Charles's health and other issues is well received. A striking shift in public opinion shows that more Britons are now in favor of keeping the monarchy. Almost half, 46%, believe it would be worse for Britain if the monarchy were abolished, up from 36% in March. That's a clear sign that many see value in maintaining this centuries-old institution. This sentiment reflects how much the monarchy still resonates with many Britons, even in a modern democracy. But what about Camilla's title? Queen Camilla's favorability ratings have improved. Her title, however, remains a topic of debate, with a split in public opinion. While 35% prefer Camilla Queen Consort, a quarter of people believe she should simply be known as Queen Camilla. This points to an ongoing conversation around the evolving roles of royals, especially when it comes to tradition and modern expectations. It seems that many Britons are starting to see the royal family in a new light. As King Charles resumes his public duties, his popularity has surged, with 56% of Britons holding a favorable view of him. His reign, though still in its early stages, is showing promise as the public warms to his more diplomatic, calm approach. Alongside him, other members of the family. However, it's not all smooth sailing. Public opinion is still divided on the idea of Prince Harry resuming public-facing duties, and a majority oppose Prince Andrew stepping into a more active role. This highlights how certain individuals remain more polarizing despite the royal family's positive momentum. The royal family's ability to adapt to the changing times has made a big difference. King Charles and his family's willingness to show a more human side while maintaining the royal traditions that have stood for centuries is clearly resonating with the public. As the royal family continues to evolve, they must walk a fine line between preserving their rich traditions and remaining relatable to the people they serve. For now, it seems they're doing just that. Do you think King Charles is winning over the public? Or is there still doubt about the monarchy's future? With everything changing around them, what's next for the royals? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit that subscribe button for more updates.